What's up, guys? All too often I hear people say once they finally get that DSLR, their photos are gonna be phenomenal, they're gonna look so much better this way, they're gonna look so much better that way. And then when they finally do take that picture, they're a little disappointed because a picture is just a picture. Talent doesn't lie in the camera, the talent lies in the user. And so today I really wanted to emphasize that what you carry in your pocket will do a lot more than you probably think it will. Some of my favorite photos have been taken with the iPhone. Today, I really wanted to show you guys the way that I've set up my iPhone and some tips and tricks that I've learned along the way to really make your photos pop. Tip number 1, use the grid. So if you don't know already, the grid gives you 3x3 squares for you to be able to line up your golden rule or your rule of thirds. And so to turn that on, you're gonna go to your settings app, and then you're gonna click on your camera app, and then inside your camera app, all you're gonna do is turn grid on. Once you go into your camera, you'll have a grid. And so that's what that looks like. And so when I first started taking photos with my iPhone, what I was doing was I was lining up the space between each edge of my iPhone, and that was a real hassle because I couldn't ever get it like perfectly in the middle. So with this, all you have to do is frame the subject so that it's touching the middle squares. Let's say that you're taking a photo of me. Well, you just put me into the middle of your squares, then you'll snap that photo. And this really helps you make your frames and your composition so much better. I promise you that once you start using this grid, your photos will already be a step better than they previously were. Tip number 2. I'm sure you've all seen that annoying yellow box that just randomly pops up for no reason. Basically, what that's doing is it lets you lock in your exposure and your focus. And so what that means is by default, all iPhones are set to, it takes a ton of different levels of exposure and it picks the best one for the photo. So I don't know if you've ever taken a photo before and before you took it, it looked perfect, but then after you took it, it was like super blown out or super underexposed. Well, the reason for that is your iPhone actually was picking the best lighting situation. A good way to get around that is inside of your app. If you hold down on the square, hold it until it does that little jitter, and then you can adjust your exposure like that, and make sure it says that your AE/AF is locked. And so now if you get up close to it, it won't change. Come back from it, your focus won't change, and your exposure won't change. That'll keep your photos from altering themselves, and that'll keep your focus on point. Tip number 3 is optional. Invest in external gear. This lens was created by a company called Moment. A while ago, they had a Kickstarter, and they raised a ton of money to produce these really, really high quality lenses. And so on average, one of them will run you about $99, and you need to buy a case that goes with your phone too. And that's about 20 bucks. So in total, you're spending about 120 bucks for a pretty cool lens for your phone. So let's say you don't want to buy like a DSLR. A DSLR is gonna cost you like 600 to 800 bucks. And so if you chose to, you could instead invest 120 into like a case with a macro lens and really get those crisp shots with your iPhone. I'm a big supporter of Moment. I think that they produce the highest quality phone lenses out there. The only thing that I have to say is right now I currently have the wide angle Moment lens. I got this wide angle so that I could get like pretty cool landscapes. I could get the whole, basically what that means is I could get like the whole building, or I could get like the entire landscape out around me. If I could do it over again, I'd probably get a macro lens, just because the wide angle, the camera's already so pushed far wide. Like you could literally step back and get so much of the environment. A macro lens on an iPhone would be so cool. Have all the variable focuses that you can mess with and play with, and I think if you were to go that route, if you were to choose to buy a lens for your iPhone, I would go with a macro lens. So, tip number 4, avoid using the zooming function. So if you have the iPhone 7, 8, or 10, you have 2 cameras on your iPhone. The moment that you go past, I think it's the 4x zoom mark, you're switching over to your other camera. And so what that'll do is it'll severely pixelate your photo, and so when you go into edit it later, you're gonna have this funky grain and funny pixelation that you really won't be able to get rid of. So yeah, I would recommend only going up to like a zoom 2x if you're shooting on your iPhone. Tip number 5, I was gonna get into editing, but I don't believe that I'll have time to do that in this video. My goal is to show you guys how to edit your photos only using your phone and not taking them to a computer. So hopefully you won't need any other gear if you followed these tips. If you're interested in learning how to edit your photos from your phone the same way that I do, I would highly encourage you to hit that subscribe button. You'll be notified as soon as that video goes live. If you know somebody that's shooting on their iPhone and could use some help, then feel free to share this video with them. Until next time, guys.